Welcome into another Warchant one-on-one. This is Ira Schoffel, managing editor of Warchant.com. I'm joined by one of my favorite people, not just in Florida State's basketball program or the athletics department or college basketball around the country, but one of my favorite people in all, and not just because he's from my hometown of Miami, the 305, but just because he's a great guy. As you guys will find out as you watch this interview, Charlton Young is an assistant men's basketball coach for the Florida State Seminoles. He's in his 8th year with the Noles. He's joining us from Indianapolis, where FSU is preparing to face UNC Greensboro in the first round of the NCAA Tournament this Saturday afternoon. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. Just a lot of preparation, a lot of preparing for the NCAA Tournament and what we're facing, and just trying to stay focused on one game at a time.
I hear you. Well, Coach, there's a few different things I want to talk to you about, but I got to start off with, because I haven't talked to you about this. I'm not sure why, but the viral video of you taking one of the players to the hoop one day, I don't know if it was a month or 2 months ago. It was all across Twitter, all across Instagram, CY showing the skills. Let me ask you a question. So how often do you got to show these young bucks what you still got?
Not often. I try to talk my way out of it. That time it was Thanksgiving break, and Sadar Calhoun backed me into a corner, so I had to give him the old lessons. You know what I mean? I had to. Now my back was hurting real bad, Ira, the next day, so I had to go back to my yoga. But it was a fun Thanksgiving, to say the least. The kids enjoyed it. Everybody enjoyed it. For the record, I did not win, but I was the people's champ. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that at running up on 50.
Well, the only video I saw was you winning in a big way. I just had one question though. So what did my man think when you turned around and acted like you were going to leave the court? I don't know where he thought you were going to go, but he relaxed, and then you did the rope-a-dope and you hit him with the reverse. Hopefully I'm going to get Aslan to put the video in here so people can see it if they haven't seen it. Where did he think you were going?
Ira, you know where that's from. That's the old Risco Park hezzy. You know what I mean? That's straight from 27th Avenue and 183rd Street, Miami. It never failed me. I've been doing the same move since I was 11. And so when I'm in trouble, I go to my go-to. And like I told him, look at you now. Now you don't went viral.
Well, Coach, I'm going to talk about FSU here shortly, but I did want to talk to you a bit about your playing days. Growing up as a young guy in Miami, as an undersized guy, you've always been a little on the skinny side, not the biggest jack guy in the park. So I know you've been doubted. I'm sure you were doubted as a young player, and I know you played with older guys. And then you go to Georgia Southern, you have a tremendous career there, player of your conference and everything else, but also still at a smaller school. So you kind of always had that chip on your shoulder. I'm just curious, how helpful is that as an assistant coach at a program like Florida State? And if you could tell us a little bit more about you as a player, and then maybe some of those things that you kind of bring from that experience to your coaching style.
Right. That's a great question. There's no question. I've been an underdog most of my life, most of my career. A guy who comes from Liberty City, Opelika, Carroll City, was really a football neighborhood at the time. It was pre-internet, and people didn't think great basketball players came out of Miami and South Florida. So when you left to represent the city, you had a huge chip on your shoulder. And in terms of basketball, not being the most athletic, not being the strongest, not jumping the highest, just had to be mentally tough. Had to have a tremendous amount of confidence, and also have the mentality that if you gave me an opportunity, that I was going to show you. And that mentality from a basketball standpoint, from a playing standpoint, from a life standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, the old saying is one man changed the world. You know, that spirit, that fighter's mentality, never quit, never lay down, and refusing to be outworked. You know, we embody that from Jalen Hamilton also here at Florida State. basketball, really, really first and foremost. I think that's what's enabled Jalen Hamilton and his staff to push Florida State basketball and the new bloods into an elite college basketball level. I mean, it's safe to say we've been a top 10 program for the last 5 or 6 years. And it's driven by that underdog mentality that I know you guys think the Blue Bloods run college basketball, but the new bloods got something to say about it. So as a player, I've always been 147 pounds soaking wet. And so I had to outwork people, and I had to really believe in myself. My grandma Inez used to call it Godfidence. She used to say, baby, you got Godfidence. They can't stop you. And so that's followed me my entire life. And again, getting $1 billion education from Jalen Hamilton every day. That's his mentality, being from Gastonia, North Carolina, playing at Tennessee Martin. All of us have that same spirit that comes down from him.
Mm-hmm. When you playing at Carroll City, you guys were, and you said, basketball wasn't the biggest thing in South Florida. Carroll City's football team, when I was in high school, Carroll City's football team, Coach Frazier, I mean, they were the biggest thing, but you guys were rolling in basketball as well. A bunch of dudes that played Division I. What was that experience like, man? Because you guys traveling across the state, with a loaded basketball team. I mean, how successful was that team, and where all did those guys go to?
Man, that's a great question. You bring back some really great memories, because I'm proud. I think that's why, from a basketball standpoint, I feel like the entire state of Florida kind of adopted me when I got into coaching so quickly, because they remember me from playing point guard on those teams. And I was blessed to really be a part of probably the best basketball era ever in the state of Florida. I know in Dade County, and the era in Dade County that really blew kind of Dade County basketball up. Carroll City's storied program, we had 10 Division I guys. I played for the legendary Ernie Bell and a great staff. Miami Senior High was our arch nemesis. And at the time, our rivalry got so big with us having 10 Division I guys. We had Robert McKay, who played at Auburn, Charles Claxton, who played at Georgia, David Dean played at Ole Miss, Corey Jackson played at Boston College, DeLon Turner wound up being a Hall of Famer at FAMU. Myself, we had a bunch of guys that were big time. And then Miami High had 10 Division I guys led by Doug Edwards, Cesar Portillo, and Jose Ramos, who went to Florida. So the rivalry got so big, it became national. We wound up being 8th in the country, and Miami High was 2 in the country. And 88, 89, the game between Miami Carroll City and Miami Senior, that game had to be moved to the Miami Arena or Miami-Dade North. And we was getting more in the Miami Arena than the Miami Heat was getting in 88. They were getting about 8,000, 9,000. We were getting 14,000. And the best thing about it is the coaches that came out of that era. When I was starting at the point, Frank Martin was an assistant coach at Miami Senior for the great Shaky Rodriguez, and Anthony Grant from Dayton was the other assistant coach for Miami Senior. And with legendary coach Ernie Bell and legendary coach Shaky Rodriguez, and it just turned into a national thing. So I was blessed to be a part of an unbelievable era of basketball out of Dade County and the state of Florida. And we both played national schedules. We both competed on a national level. We won the City of the Palms, Kingdom of the Sun. We went to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We went to Kingdom of the Bluegrass in Kentucky. I mean, every national event, Miami Carroll City was there, or Miami Senior, if not both. So it was a beautiful time for basketball in Dade County, something I'm very, very proud of, to the point where I see even Miami Senior, who's our rival, we both, I see Frank Martin and Anthony Grant, we just hug each other and laugh and talk about the wars we had in front of thousands and thousands of people. And basketball in the state of Florida and in the city of Miami still haven't seen that type excitement and following and since those days. So I'm proud to be a part of that.
Definitely not the public schools for sure.
Yeah,
You
it's
got some of
changed.
the, yeah. Well, I wanted to move ahead to your family. I like to consider you guys, I think you guys are the first family of basketball in Tallahassee. I don't know if anybody else has any, I don't think anybody else can stake a claim to it, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your wife and the amazing basketball career she had. You got a daughter at North Carolina, another daughter that's going to be a Division I prospect, and then some sons that are ballers as well. So I know you're not going to brag about yourself too much, but I wonder if you could brag on your family a little bit, because you got some ballers in the Young family.
Yeah, you have to have a tremendous amount of humility to live in my house. I was a Hall of Fame player at Georgia Southern, and I'm probably the worst player in my house. You know what I mean? So my baby daughter, Adia, who's getting recruited by a bunch of high major schools, every time somebody comes up to her and says, "Hey, your daddy was good," she's like, he played at little old Georgia Southern. My mama was a WNBA star. She's the real player. So my wife was a Hall of Fame player, has a jersey, retired at Auburn, played on the Olympic team in 92, played professionally for 12 years, played in the Pan Am Games, World Games, had an unbelievable storied career, probably one of the best players in the history of women's basketball. Just have accomplished so much and such a trailblazer. My oldest daughter, signed with Michigan and transferred to Carolina and is doing really, really well. Adia is coming back off 2 knee injuries, but is a legitimate top 100 player in the country. And then my boys are eighth grader, ninth graders, eighth grader, ninth grader, Nehemiah and Isaiah. And boys develop a little later than girls, but they're working hard and they're coming, and they definitely got a chance. One of them played on the JV at Florida High, and the other one started on the middle school team. So we're a basketball family, no doubt about it. And I don't want to call us the first family. We're not the first family, but very, very athletic, very talented. Basketball runs through our veins, and I think all the young kids, the boys, the girls, all of them, they definitely will be heard from in the future.
What is it about basketball? Because you played football as well growing up. What is it about basketball that is so special to you in your family?
There's a ton of things. I think when younger, I was a better football player than basketball player young, and football is so big in South Florida. And I think genetics forced me to stop playing football. Just got long and skinny as I got to 8th or 9th grade. My mother begged me, just take 1 year off from football, baby. Just take 1 year, play basketball, then we go back. And then I went straight basketball around 9th grade and started getting letters in basketball and started getting recruited. My mom was like, "See, this is who you are." So, once I decided to commit to basketball, what I realized is the lessons that the game teach you is unbelievable. All the things that make you successful as a basketball player, all the things that the game teaches you. What I learned from basketball was the power of preparation, how to handle adversity, how to get up when you're knocked down, how to be unselfish, how to believe in yourself when nobody else does, just self-discipline. I mean, just so many things that the game taught me that made me successful, that when I got married and I started having children, I tried not to push the game on them, but I sure did encourage them, because basketball was the only way Daddy knew to teach them life. And we don't have our children playing basketball because we're some psycho parents that want them to score 50 points a game. We just want them to be prepared for life and get the lessons that the game teaches you and apply them to their life. And if you can do that, then you'll be successful. And I figured out at a young age, right there on Cagney Park, Cagney Park in North Miami. Okay, if I want to be the man, they start playing at 4:00. I'm going to get out here about 2:30 and shoot me about 150, 200 jumpers. And then when they come out here to play, I'm going to knock a couple down on double rims and chains. And everybody's going to say, ooh, who's Skinny Man? Skinny Man can shoot, right? They don't know I've been out here an hour and a half, 2 hours before they ever showed up. You understand? And so that taught me a lot about life, just the importance of preparation. And, young kids playing basketball, and when they learn these lessons through the game, if they just apply those same lessons to their life, there's no way they can't be successful. So the game is definitely special to us. And the game is something that I just, from a very young age, I always knew that it would be a part of my life here now and forevermore.
So even Florida State fans, I'm sure some of them don't realize that you were a head coach at 37. As we said, you were a legend at Georgia Southern. You went back to be a head coach at a really young age, one of the youngest coaches in the country. Then you end up coming to Florida State, go back to be an assistant coach. How different are you now as a coach compared to what do you look back and think about what you were as a 37-year? Now that you've had a chance to work with Leonard Hamilton and Stan Jones and this staff, do you look back and think about yourself as a 37-year-old and what you would have told yourself if you could have gone back in time?
That's a great question. It's the old saying, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. I get a billion-dollar education on how to be a head coach and CEO from Jay Leonard Hamilton every day. Being here 8 years, I've gotten so much better as a coach and really learned the blueprint for running a program, being a head coach and a CEO. What I learned was I was a pretty good head coach, but I was a terrible CEO. And now that you're older and more mature and you had some experience, you see that now. I love my alma mater. I love Georgia Southern. I'm still a broke college coach right now. But if I ever get rich, I'm gonna give them a whole lot of money. I appreciate the opportunity. I still bleed Eagle Blue inside, and I got blood, sweat, and tears on Hannah Fieldhouse's floor. So I love everybody. I ain't mad at nobody. I'm not trying to fight. I'm just appreciative for them giving me the opportunity to cut my teeth and learn how to be a head coach and CEO. But the blessing of coming here with Jay Leonard Hamilton, working with Stan Jones, our associate head coach, Dennis Gates, who's now a superstar in the profession, which we all knew he would be, and a heck of a head coach. I mean, the total package, not just a recruiter, coach, X and O, strategics, organizational, the whole nine. Dennis Gates is a total package. And also being here with a young star like Steve Smith, who's an up and coming, who's been an unbelievable addition to my staff. I just been so blessed to learn from them every day. And we all complement each other. We are definitely the epitome of a team. But that experience the last 8 years is really taking me to another level in this profession. And I'm better because of the people I work with. Mike Bradley, our strength coach, who's like a mad scientist. He's really, really good too, and a huge part of our program, who doesn't get enough credit for what he does in terms of improving our bodies and putting a mentality in our guys in the weight room that we take out in between the line, and we become a fierce package because of them. So these last 8 years have been great. I'm just excited to finish the deal. We've put ourselves in a position where we're a top 10 program on a pretty consistent basis. But the goal is to win a national championship. And I think this group of guys, we're going to keep pounding the pavement until we bring Florida State basketball and the university and the Tallahassee community. We're going to keep pounding the pavement until we win a national championship. And there was a time when that was not the thought process in Florida State basketball. That there was a time where let's just make the tournament. You know what I mean? let's just make it. And I'm proud to be a part of the regime that has changed that. That's no longer the sentiment or message here. You know, everybody involved in our program knows that we're competing for national titles now, and I'm proud of it.
It's weird to me listening to other coaches around the country talk, especially after you guys play them and usually beat them, but just to hear them talking about you guys in any other setting or players or recruits. The way people talk about Florida State basketball is with this tremendous level of respect. But it doesn't seem to always carry over to the media and the fans to the same way. Does that still motivate you guys? Is that ever going to change? Can you worry about it? Can you even think about it? Or at this point, do you just keep trying to win games?
I think the most important thing is to just keep winning and to keep pouring into these young men. You know, when you're in athletics, you have to accept that people are very, very critical, even if it doesn't involve practical intelligence. But I mean, it's people don't go up to the post office and say, "Hey, you're delivering the mail terrible. I need to come up there and deliver the mail better than you." You know, people don't do that. You know what I mean? But when you're a coach, the guys in the barbershop think they can coach. The preacher at the church thinks he's a coach. Everybody thinks they're a coach, and that's sports writers. So that just comes with the territory. But if you look at the data, it's pretty obvious that Florida State basketball, the new bloods are for real. You know, this is our 5th straight qualification for the NCAA tournament. That's never happened here before. We've been to the Elite 8, Sweet 16, regular season champion. Never happened here before. So, you know, it's athletics is what have you done for me lately? You know, I get it. I understand it. But we're just gonna keep our head down and just keep building and keep working towards a national championship because Jalen Hamilton has done a phenomenal job here. Instead of criticizing him, it needs to probably be a statue out in front of the Tucker Center of him just for what he's accomplished here. You know, you compare what he's done to the other coaches that was here. You compare what he's done to the top coaches in the country. And you're talking about a guy who hasn't done it at basketball schools. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, think about rebuilding Miami, Oklahoma State, and now Florida State. I mean, Ira, let's just be brutally honest. When I first got the job here, there were Skittle seats in the arena. You know what I mean? Like, there were different colored seats. Yeah. The first recruit we ever took to see the arena was Jonathan Isaac. The blockbuster class of Dwayne Bacon, Malik Beasley, Terrence Mann, Gene Chris Kamaji, they never even saw the arena. We put them in the car and we said, "Hey, we play over there. Let's go to dinner." You know, and these guys started the basketball revolution. So, you know, for Jalen Hamilton to build a powerhouse basketball program at Florida State, you gotta say he's one of the best to ever do it. Can you imagine if he was at Kentucky or Kansas? You know, not disrespecting any coach because I respect those guys, all of them. Roy Williams, and Calipari, and, you know, Krzyzewski, respect those guys. But I think there should be more value put on a guy who has done more with less. And that's definitely Jalen Hamilton because the difference in Florida State basketball now and before is astronomical. I'm so proud of it. Just the way people respond when we walk in the gym. Again, respect is the ultimate currency. You know, not money, not jewels, but respect. And when Jalen Hamilton and this program walks in the gym now, people take notice. The top recruits in the country, they take notice. They understand that not only is Jalen Hamilton a great coach, a great CEO, but the development that takes place here is on another level. You look at our guys in the NBA, not only when they go, not only do they get there, but they're prepared to play and be impactful when they get there. And these are guys that aren't all McDonald's All-Americans. I mean, these are guys that were diamond in the roughs that nobody thought were pros that come through this program and become guys that play in the National Basketball Association. And the character that's instilled in them. And to be honest with you, if you ask Jalen Hamilton, he's more proud of the guys that get their degree out of this program that are coaches, that are police officers and ADs and business owners. We got a ton of those too that are doing really, really well in life. And the guys that we have in Europe, I mean, are making a really, really good chunk of change and really building a life for themselves, you know, and they're well respected in Europe, going back from Al Thornton, Tony Douglas. We got David Nichols and Okaro White now, who used to be in the NBA, Ian Miller. These guys are doing really, really well and making a lot of money, and they're all new bloods. They all come out of this program. We got a lot to be proud of, but you know, I know it sounds cliche. We're not nowhere near from finish, and we want to make sure that we give the people of Tallahassee, our community, and our alums and our basketball fans, we want them to be proud every March. You know, going to the tournament 5 years in a row, it's a pretty good feeling. And even though we have the people that still want to criticize it when we lose a game like Georgia Tech or whatever, I get it. I want to say we get a lot of love too from our fans, and I want to say thank you to all our fans, the people that come out to the top, that have supported us. It's been amazing, just the love and support we've gotten from Florida State basketball fans. So I want to make sure I say that publicly. You know, you always talk about the negative, but we have a ton of loyal, great fans that are very, very supportive, and that's, as they say in Miami, they ride or die. You know, and we're proud of that. So I went to Orlando with my two sons. They play AAU, and I walked in a subway, and I thought I was in disguise. You know, I had on a warm up, and I had my hat over my head, and I had a mask on, and I walked in the subway, and this guy said, "Hey, new bloods, what you doing here?" I was like, "Wow." You know what I mean? And he was a former Florida State student who happened to be with his wife in Subway. And he had we had just lost to North Carolina. And he's like, "Don't worry about it, coach. We're going to get them. We're going to get them in the tournament." So we got a lot of great fans out there.
When you look at this season, as an observer, it has been, and I know it's been just crazy for all college basketball teams.
Very difficult.
Going through the pandemic, and
very difficult.
Only playing, I think you guys have only played 21 games, 22 games, whereas normally you would have played 10 more games, which gives you more time to work things out. Then you've got the pauses and everything else. But you guys have had such crazy highs where you ran Virginia out of the gym and, you know, go up and just, you know, beat Louisville. And I mean, so many impressive wins. And then, as you mentioned, you had a couple of kind of head-scratching losses. For the people outside the program, it seems like, you know, wow, how can a team play that great and then not play as great? And it's hard to understand it. What's the view like from inside? I mean, do you feel and I know progress isn't always a straight line, but what's this? Has the season been different than anything else, or has it just felt that way because it's been so condensed and so weird with the schedule?
Ira, different is not even a word. It's been extremely difficult. We have been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at times. And it's a lot of it has to do with the pandemic and COVID, and it's been a very, very difficult year. You know, you think about we had 5 games in a row in the ACC, I think, where we won by 19 points or more.
Coach, I mean, scores I've never seen before. I mean, the games, and this is, let me say it, you don't have to say it, but games where you guys are up 20-something points in ACC games, I've never seen that before.
Right.
I mean, week in and week out. I mean, so that's where it's like it almost looked too easy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you lose, it's like, man, what? We just saw that team, so that it's been crazy.
Well, it's the old saying, 90% of the game is from the neck up. And you're dealing with young men between 18 and 22, and they go through things, but them being locked up in a room all day when they're not in practice or when they're not in games, them not being able to go out and have the normal student athlete experience, them not being able to go home and see their families for Christmas, them not being able to take their girlfriend to the movies or get away from basketball has made
just
it
get a
really,
release.
it's 24/7. And at times mentally, there's been physical fatigue, but there also has been mental fatigue. And it's been tough on the coaching staffs, our trainer, our strength coach, all of us. We are locked down in a bunker 24/7. So it's kind of hard to be consistent mentally with what we're dealing with. Like, we've been in Indianapolis for 2-3 days now. We've probably been outside approximately 53 seconds. The 2 walks to the bus, and that was today. So think about that now. We've been here 3 days. We all walked out the hotel to the bus, and everybody exploded. Oh, sunlight. We're outside. I feel it on my face. Like, it was nuts. Yeah. And that's the epitome of this season. So if you're locked up in a room 24/7 and you can't go see your family, you can't go home for Christmas, and especially as 18 to 22-year-old kids, you're going to be up and down mentally. And that's been a tough part of this season. The pandemic has definitely had an effect on our kids, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Now, we have a great culture and we're a close-knit family, but sometimes you just get tired of looking at each other. You know what I mean? Like, Raquan Gray is looking at MJ Walker. He's like, I've been looking at this dude since May. Like, I don't want to, it's just hard. It's a long, hard season. Now, the change of coming to the tournament and that's really helped us. We went to the Indiana Pacers arena today. And like I told you, we got to walk outside the hotel and get on the bus. We got 53 seconds of sunlight. And then we went into this nice NBA arena. And I could see the life just come into the kids. But it has definitely taken effect on us. And the team that wins this tournament, it's going to be the team that is the closest, the close-knit, that can fight through mentally all the challenges, because we're going to, you're going to be in this bubble for a while.
I was going to ask you that, because the Miami Heat last year in the NBA playoffs were that team that they liked each other. And so they were suddenly in the bubble, they were a totally different team than they were during the regular season. Do you think it's going to be a similar experience in the NCAA tournament in terms of the teams that aren't together are going to have a hard time getting through this if they're not as tight, being in a bubble for weeks at a time?
Exactly the same. And after being in it now and being in the bubble, I can see how Paul George could have problems. You know what I mean? Like, I could see how certain players could really struggle with being locked in the hotel, not being able to leave the premises, being away from their wife and kids for extended periods of time, not having a release, just being stuck in a basketball vacuum for, 90 straight days or whatever it is. You got to be a strong person mentally to deal with it. So it's from a coaching standpoint, as a staff, we've had to do a lot of creative things in terms of team building and mental preparation and counseling and mentoring just to keep everybody focused and understanding what's going on.
I want to just a couple more questions. What can you tell me about UNC Greensboro? You guys opening opponent and just kind of the challenges they present.
Here's what I can tell you. Very, very, very good. Very well coached. Have been to the tournament before. Should have beat Gonzaga the last time they were here. They have an NBA prospect at the point guard spot, kid by the name of Isaiah Miller, NBA athlete, world-class athlete, and he leads them in every category. Very streaky shooters and very good at changing their pressure. Have a great scheme, very similar to NC State in our league. They have some depth. They have more size than most mid-major teams do. We're going to have to play. We're going to have to play well to beat them. Nobody in our camp is underestimating them. We know what we're dealing with. We know they should have beat Gonzaga a couple years ago. And we know that they're coming to the game expecting to win. And anytime you have a group of guys that has some tournament experience, have a coaching staff that has been there. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the coaching staff. Their head coach, Wes Miller, their assistant, Andre Gray. These guys are great basketball minds that's been around. And we're going to have to play to beat them. I think you're going to notice the similarities between them and NC State in terms of how they want to constantly tinker and change the pressure. And nag you. And, we've had to do a lot of film work and a lot of preparation and practice because we didn't have a good showing in terms of taking care of the ball in our last game. So we understand what we're dealing with. It's going to be a tall task.
Two more things. When you, as a player, you played the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
What is it? How is it different? Like how is it different walking on that court for an NCAA tournament game for the players than it is every other game you play during the season? Or
it's not, Ira, it's nothing like it. It's definitely different. It's what all of us who get in basketball dream about. So when you get there and you realize, hey, I'm here and how big it is, it takes some time to get used to the arenas, the coverage, and then the fact that there is no tomorrow. Everybody knows the urgency of it. There is no tomorrow. Either you win or you go home. So it's a whole different level of intensity, a whole different level of urgency. I feel good that we have become an experienced program with the tournament. We're much different than when we first came 5 years ago when we first got back on this street. I think MJ Walker, this is his fourth straight. We didn't play last year, so he's been to 3 out of 4, but we qualified for the tournament last year. And we've been in some big games over the last years. You talk about Turk, Raquan Gray, Anthony Polite, Wyatt Wilkes, MJ Walker. These guys have played in the Elite Eight. They played in the Sweet 16. They played in the Staples Center. They played in 2 ACC championship games. So they got a regular season crown. Like they have some experience. So I think that will work to our advantage. But make no bones about it. It's a big deal. And our guys are excited about it, excited about the opportunity. I think years ago when we lost to Michigan, I looked up with like 40 seconds left. And I'm saying, if we get one more stop, we go into the Final Four. I think that experience changed us. It changed our players. It changed our coaching staff. I think that was the moment when we realized, you know what, we can win a national title. It changed our total mindset, the way we recruit, the way we develop, the way we train, the way we think, the way we prepare. And I think guys on our team are walking in this game knowing that we are capable of winning a national title, but they also are experienced enough to know that it's one game at a time. And it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. I think nobody is thinking about anything but UNCG. And I think because of that, well, we'll have a good chance of moving forward.
The last thing, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, when you were talking about recruiting and finding some of those gems that maybe sometimes are hidden. And you guys have recruited some big time players as well that a lot of people expected great things from. But I did want to ask you about, I feel like I can't talk to you without asking you about Devin Vassell and T-Man and what they're doing in the NBA right now. But using them as kind of a springboard into what is the key to identifying guys that can play and guys that you want in your program. And because, again, Devin Vassell, nobody was recruiting him. When Coach Gates first saw Fiondo Kabengele, nobody was recruiting him. Nobody thought Terrence Mann was going to be he was highly recruited, but not to the level he became. What is it? Is there I don't want you to give away your secret sauce as a staff, but what are you guys looking for? And when do you know you found it?
Well, first of all, I got to give our staff a huge shout out. Jalen Hamilton, Dennis Gates, Stan Jones, Steve Smith. We do a great job of evaluating. When people say recruiting, they think about the act of selling the university and the program. But the most important component of recruiting is the evaluation process. And I think that's something that we've mastered here at Florida State. Jalen Hamilton has a blueprint and a program and a way we want to play. So we've gotten to the point where we go out and we recruit guys that fit our system. It's the old saying, it's nothing sadder than a man or woman or organization that don't know who they are. We know who we are. We know how we want to play. And we know the character makeup that it takes to be involved in our program. The first thing and the first core value for us is humility. We recruit guys that have a tremendous amount of humility. We recruit guys that know that they're not Martin Luther King. They're not Nelson Mandela. They didn't make the cure for cancer. All they do is play basketball and they want to get better. They don't have all the answers. And high character gym rats is the term you've heard me use a million times, but humility is the core value that makes us successful. And our leader, Jalen Hamilton, who's a Hall of Famer, I've told you this before. I think Jalen Hamilton
before everybody else.
Before everybody else, I read the data and I thought it was asinine that Jalen Hamilton was not in the Hall of Fame with what he's done in this profession. What Jalen Hamilton has done for college basketball is the equivalent of what Jackie Robinson did for baseball. Just starting at his time at Austin Peay in Kentucky and becoming a trailblazer as one of the only African American head coaches and CEOs at the Power 5 level. How he has withstood the test of time, how he has evolved. It's unbelievable, but that the guy, what he's done, and if you sit down and have a conversation with him, he's going to talk to you like he's your neighbor next door. Right. And I think that's what makes us successful. The guys that we recruit, Devin Vassell, Terrence Mann, Patrick Williams, Trent Forrest, these guys have a tremendous amount of humility and they are great people. So high character gym rats with a tremendous amount of humility. And then that humility enables us to get better. And that humility enables us to become a team, to become a family. And that's what makes our culture. And it's amazing. Every year they count us out. Every year we're not in the preseason top 25, which I would never understand how every year we're not in the top 25, and then at the end of the year, here we go. Here we are. It's consistent behavior. And it started a long time ago. We lost as a 2 seed to Xavier, and we lost Jonathan Isaac, 6th pick in the draft. We lost Dwayne Bacon, 40th pick in the draft. We lost Xavier Rayton Mays, 2 or 3 10 days in the NBA. We lost Michael Ojo, God bless the dead. Almost tear up every time I say his name, who was a high-level Europe player. And we lost Jacquez Smith, Lakeland Magic, G League. Lost 5 pros.
Yeah.
And everybody says, oh, Florida State, they're done. We went to the Elite 8 the next year. Then we go to Elite 8 and we lose Angola, right? High-level Europe player, 10-day in the NBA. They say, oh, it was luck. They done. We go to the Sweet 16 the next year. Then we lose Fondu Kamangeli, 1st-round pick to the Clippers. Terrence Mann, 2nd-round pick to the Clippers. We lose Phil Kofer, Memphis G League. We lose David Nichols, mid to high-level Europe. And we lose PJ Savoy. They say, oh, it was luck. You know, the Seminoles, they're gone. We win the regular season title the next year. They say, oh, this is it this time. They're done. It's over. They lost Patrick Williams, 4th pick in the draft. Devin Vassell, 11th pick in the draft. Trent Forrest, free agent deal with the Utah Jazz. Dominic Olenichik, high-level Europe. You know, we're right here playing for the regular season ACC championship the next year. And I don't understand. So you judge people in situations on consistent behavior. They gotta understand that culture doesn't graduate. We have a program. The guys that come up after the guys that leave, they're going to get better. Our culture is going to stay strong, and we're going to continue to develop. And, you know, hey, consistent behavior, what's going to happen? Next year, we won't be in the top 25. And at the end of the year, we'll be right here at the tournament like Christmas. Hey, Ira, how you doing? Consistent behavior. Never bet against consistent behavior, Ira. Never bet against consistent behavior.
I hear you. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time, man. I could talk to you for days, and I appreciate it, but I know you got to get back to getting prepared for the tournament. Good luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you again here soon. And go ahead.
You got to do me a favor.
All right.
So my wife called me twice. You got to call my wife and get me out of trouble, because she's going to say, well, I wasn't answering this phone.
I would, Coach, I would try, but I'd be afraid, because I've seen old video of your wife playing in the post and boxing people out, and I don't want any part of that.
Hey, smart man, man. I always enjoy it. I really appreciate it, Ira.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck out there, okay?
All right. Talk to you soon.